In 1892, King Rama V commissioned a businessman called Luang Sathorn Ratchayut to dig the canal from Rama IV Road to the Chao Phraya River, and I don't think he ever thought it would end up looking like this. After the canal was finished, Luang Sathorn Ratchayut was given the rights to the land on both sides of the canal. This became known as Thailand's first ever development project. He went on to sell the land to some very wealthy people, and the area became named after him. Well, you won't be surprised to hear that this canal used to be a lot wider and more attractive. It had trees on both sides. In the late 1970s, these were all ripped out and the canal was narrowed to make way for the Taksin Bridge. And of course, they needed the land on both sides for the extra cars that were coming over from Thonburi. This area has always been great for shopping. It's rich in history. Even during lockdown a couple of weeks ago, it was absolutely hectic around here. In the old days, if you were the adventurous type looking for sex, drugs, booze, partying, and in later years porno movies, then you may have found yourself down one of the many alleyways that snake their way between the back streets here in Bangrak. In the 1800s, a lot of Chinese immigrants from Hong Kong were arriving in places like Bangrak, and as a result this area became very crowded very quickly. It soon became well known for its narrow sois, alleyways and secret passages, even to this day. I'm trying to picture the scene around here, say 100 years ago when the place was in full swing. You'd be walking around here at night seeing the green lanterns hanging outside the brothels, the murmuring and the chatter coming from the upstairs windows, the drinking dens where people talk and then argue as the night goes on and more booze gets consumed, and of course the opium smoke hanging in the air. And then all the while you've got the casino right in the middle with its all-male Chinese opera dance troupe, whipping the punters into a frenzy, getting them to drink more and spend more money, people losing money, having fights. And just imagine if you won a load of money and had to make your way out of here, all these alleyways and dark sois, it would have been pretty disorientating. So maybe I'm glad I wasn't around here 100 years ago. This area was once a hive of clandestine, suspicious, underhand activity with brothels, gambling dens, drinking clubs and opium dens all over here. In the middle of it all was the Prince Theatre, whose heyday was in the second half of the 19th century. They were putting plays on every week that appealed mostly to the upper classes. In 1912, however, it became a casino. 5 years later, casinos were outlawed and this place opened as the Prince Rama Theatre, showing silent movies. The Prince Rama became one of many popular standalone independent cinemas you used to find all over Bangkok, until of course the multiplexes came along with the air conditioning and comfy seats and put a lot of them out of business. By the way, there's a couple of really good websites dedicated to these old theatres. By the mid-1980s, it had reinvented itself as a porno theatre, which must have been very handy for customers given its location, because no one can see you coming or going. In 2010, the cinema was finally closed down and it was left derelict and a bit run down for a few years. In 2017, it was renovated and reopened a year later as the Prince Heritage Theatre Stay, a very unique boutique hotel in a very unusual location that nowadays is not too hard to find. Apparently this was 80% finished with over 500 units sold. Whatever the real truth is, the bottom line is a lot of people here lost a lot of money, and that is a real shame. There's also been quite a few movie productions and music videos who have requested to shoot here. They've all been refused point blank by the owners, who said the place is completely off limits. And I think that's a bit of a relief on the roadies who don't have to carry the equipment up and down those stairs. I've also seen a few urban sports videos shot here at the very top. There's guys doing somersaults and acrobatics, filming themselves, and there is a famous YouTube video as well. The owner came out on TV about 5 years ago saying that the place is completely off limits. Anyone breaking in to shoot stuff and put it on YouTube will be pursued through the courts. Well, the structure is going to remain for the time being, and I'm just thinking maybe I should come back after dark and see how spooky this place is. After all, it is called the Ghost Tower. Well, it definitely does have the air of somewhere haunted around here. There are bats all over the place, and there are echoing noises coming from some of the lower floors that I can hear, which could be either cats, dogs, or the security man. There was some speculation as to, is it haunted by a real ghost? There have been suicides here. Was it built on an old graveyard? But if I remember rightly, it wasn't called the Ghost Tower until after it was abandoned, so maybe people are just speculating, jumping on the bandwagon, oh, it's the Ghost Tower because it's haunted. It was one of these buildings abandoned in 1997 after the Asian financial crisis, one of many, and this one apparently is too expensive to demolish, but not structurally sound enough to finish off what they were building, so who knows what's going to happen.